Hi everyone, welcome to Javatechie. If you remember in the last Kafka session, we have designed our Kafka producer and consumer application, right? So in this tutorial, I will guide you how to write Kafka integration test with test containers. Okay, alright. Being a developer, always writing a Kafka integration test can be frustrating because that's mainly due to the complex test configuration that involves for registering the consumer and producer or to read and write messages, isn't it? And also, without proper integration testing, you cannot be confident about the stability of your production environment. So to leverage that, we can use the test containers, which can reduce test configuration to almost zero and not worry about how to read and write messages from and to Kafka when writing a test case. Instead, a developer can entirely focus on only testing needed functionality. Okay, so if you are not aware about what is test containers and how to use it, then I would strongly suggest you to check out this particular video in my YouTube channel, Spring Boot 3 Integration Testing with Test Container, where I have explained in detail by taking the example of MySQL using the test containers. I will also share the link in the video description for your reference. Okay, so without any further delay, let's circle back to the demo. So let's get started. So before we start writing the test case, first let's verify whether our producer and consumer example application is working or not. So I have started my producer application and also I have started my consumer application here. And if you observe here in the terminal, I have started my zookeeper and Kafka server. Okay, that's enough. Now if we'll go to the producer app, in the producer application, we have defined the controller. From this controller method, we are sending the customer object to the topic. Fine. So the endpoint is /publish. Let's go to the postman. And I have this particular endpoint with this particular payload. Now just trigger the request. Status code is 200. Now let's verify in the consumer whether that particular object is received or not. Yeah. Can you see here? Consumer consume the event this is what we are sending from our producer 101, name is Basant, email ID and contact number. So all good. Now let's start writing the test case. For that, I don't want to use my Kafka which I installed on my machine, so I will stop everything. I will stop my consumer and producer as well, and from the terminal I will close my zookeeper and Kafka server. Because I am not going to use this particular Kafka instance, I want to take the help from Kafka test containers to spin up a new Kafka instance for me. So I will show you that how we can do that. So let me close everything. Now the local Kafka is shut down for me. So what I will do, very simple, just go to the pom.xml. In pom.xml, we just need to add the test container specific dependency. If I will open it, so I have added the test container dependency, then test container for Kafka, and I have added the Jupyter. And also I have added this utility to just pause for some time. I mean, whenever I am running the Kafka producer and consumer, I want my thread will pause for some specific second or for some time interval. That is the reason I have just added this utility. Okay, I'll tell you in the code whenever we will implement this. That's fine. Then just update your project. Then what I want to do, I want to disable this config class because I want to load it from the application.yml file. So I will just uncomment this. That's it. Just go to the test class and start writing your test case now here. Okay, let me close everything. So first step, we can just run this particular test case in random port. Okay, so I'll define web environment. There is something called random port. Then I just let me zoom this for you. Then I just need to annotate here at the rate test containers. By adding this annotation, I am telling to the Spring Boot test that this particular class is using some container. Fine. Now, which container I want to use? I want to use the Kafka container. So for Kafka container, from where you will get this Kafka container? Just go to this documentation. You can copy this and then simply just paste it here. We are using the Kafka container by saying to the Kafka container, hey Kafka container, can you please bring this specific Kafka version for me 6.2.1. If you don't want to specify any Kafka version, just tell that, hey container, can you give me the latest Kafka version which you have with you. That's fine, you can define the version whatever you want here. Okay, now annotate this at the rate container. Next, since we have created the Kafka container, we need to configure the bootstrap server. So for that I will simply write a method public void, let's say init Kafka properties or something like that. Then you need to just pass your dynamic property registry, and also here you need to annotate dynamic property source. These annotation came from the this specific test containers. Okay, so you no need to remember this annotation name, but whenever you are using the test container, you need to play with these annotation. Fine. Now registry dot add key name is spring.kafka.bootstrap-server. I just need to copy the same name what I have defined here. So this is right. So you can define spring.kafka, then bootstrap servers. And what is the bootstrap server you want to specify? I don't know exactly the bootstrap server name, because this particular container will get the server for me. Every time you will run, you will get different server. Okay, so what we can do, we can tell here, hey, get it from the Kafka container itself. This is how we can specify. Fine. So we are done with the infrastructure setup. Now let's start writing our actual test case. So let's go to the project. We are going to write the test case for this guy. Okay, this Kafka message publisher, we want to send the custom object which is customer, this particular method. So let me copy this method name, then I will simply write the test method public void test. Fine. So to call this specific method from the Kafka message publisher, first I need to inject this. So just go here and I just need to auto add that private, then just do the auto add. That's it. Now I just need to call publisher dot send events to the topic. There are two methods we have defined in that publisher. One will send the string message, one will send the custom object, where we have just defined the customer as a DTO and we are sending it. So I am using the second method, wherever I am sending the custom object. So I will create a new customer, what all field I need to pass, ID, name, email and contact number. So let's say ID is something, some random number, name let's say test user, email I guess, email is test@gmail.com, then what else, contact number, some random number. Okay, next just annotate this @test. Make sure to import the test from Jupyter, not from the JUnit. Once you have written this sent event to the topic will publish the message to the topic, and after that I want to pause for some time interval. So that is the reason we have used this utility class. So let me add the import statement. This should be import from org dot this particular class. Okay, and I want to wait, the pool interval is 3 seconds and minimum I want to wait for 10 seconds. And next to that, if you have any assert statement, you can add it inside this particular block. So just import this. So we are specifying the pool interval of 3 seconds, and at most, the minimum amount I want to wait for 10 seconds once this particular message will push to the topic. So after that, if you have any assert statement, you can write it here. Since my method is void, I don't have any assert statement, I cannot write anything here. Even you can give a try by persisting that particular customer object to the DB, and you can just write the assert statement here by fetching it from the DB. So this is the simple example guys. Okay, nothing to worry. Now I believe all good. Let's run our code. So let me run the test case. Okay, it seems there is error. This particular method must be static. Okay, Let's change it to the static. So if you'll make this static, better let's change this particular field also static. Now looks good. Let me run this. We'll find out some error, then I'll tell you how we can resolve that. So if you observe here, when the particular test will execute, first it will get that particular Kafka image. Can you see here? Starting to pull the image. What is the version? Latest. Now it will take few seconds to pull that Docker images. So you can see here, it successfully pulled the image of this specific version, I mean the latest version. Then it's trying to start that particular container. This is what, right? Now to verify whether it pulled the specific Docker image or not, what you can do, go to the terminal, just type Docker images. If you observe here, can you see here cp kafka and the tag is latest. Now if you want to verify whether that is the container itself is running or not, just run docker ps. You can see here, right, the Kafka container is running here. Let me zoom this for you. The container is running here and this is the Docker image it pulled Kafka. Fine. So go back here. Let's see what is the result. So if you observe here, it's giving us the error because this particular test case will look into your application.yml file which you have defined in your source folder, I mean in the main folder, not in the test folder. There you have specified the bootstrap server as a 9092 localhost, but our bootstrap server is running dynamically. Fine. So for that reason, you need to override this application.yml in your test folder. So just create a directory, resource, just paste this and remove the bootstrap server so that it will pick from the container and will run it dynamic bootstrap. I mean the bootstrap server will be dynamic here. So this is not required for test. You can remove this. Fine. Now go to the test class and run it again. Now second time when I am running it, it won't pull the image again because it is already pulled that specific image at first time. Fine. So let's wait it to complete. See, directly pull the image here and is starting the container. Can you see here? We got the message here. Sent message. This is what the object we are sending, right? With offset 0. Now if you go and check in the publisher class, after successfully send the messages, we are just printing this statement system.out.println sent message. This is what, right? If there is a exception, then it will print this particular statement. Since in our case we are able to successfully send the messages, we are able to get the first statement that sent message to the particular message and to which offset. That is what we can see here, right? If we'll go here to the test case, get the result, go to this specific test case. Now if you'll scroll down, you can see the log messages here, right? This is what we have written for producer. Now since I am a producer, I might have 100 of consumers, right? So now consumers, people need to write their own test case for consumer class. Okay, so let's start begin writing the test case for consumer. We are good with the producer. Now if you observe in the code, I have not worried more about the infrastructure. I have just defined these two lines. Everything will be taken care by this Kafka container itself. What I focused? I only focused on writing my functionality test, whether this particular method where I am exactly publishing the event is working or not. Okay. Now let's start writing the test case for consumer application. So I need this information. So first of all, let me copy all the dependencies what I have added here, because same dependency we need to add in our consumer as well. Copy this, go to the consumer application, go to the pom.xml, then just scroll down and paste it here, just update it. Fine. Now go to the test case here. This is the test case. Now let me copy all the field from the producer. I mean we are going to reuse the same annotation and Kafka container. So I'll just copy paste. Just go to the consumer, paste it here, go to the producer, get the container and dynamic property source, copy this, then paste it here. I mean, whoever have the consumer for your application, they need to test their application that whether they are able to successfully face the events from that specific topic or not. Okay, so that is the reason they need to write the test case. So for that, how they can validate that whether the message is coming to the topic or not? So forcefully you need to send some event or messages to the topic. Then in consumer itself you need to write the logic to the, or you need to validate that whether it is consuming or not. Okay, that is simple statement, guys. So let me write the test case. Public, first let me go to the listener class, right? This is the class where my consumer is written here. I mean, this is the place I am consuming the event from this specific topic. So that is the reason we have defined the @Kafka listener. So I'll just take the method name, go to the test class, public void test. So to validate whether this particular method is being consumed or not, so what I'll do, forcefully I need to send some message to this topic. So for that, what I need a Kafka template. So I just need to inject here Kafka template of type string as a key and value as a object. Just inject using auto add. So here what I will do, I will just send Kafka template dot send object to which topic, the same topic what you have defined here, because I only forcefully send some message to this topic to validate okay this consumer is working correctly. Just specify the topic and just define the customer object. So I will better copy the customer object from here itself, just paste it here, or I will just define above. Okay, then just pass this customer object to this Kafka template so that it will publish the message to this topic, and this particular listener need to execute and it will print this log statement. That is what we are expecting. Fine. So what I will do, go to the test. First I will do one thing, I will just add some log statement here, SL4J. Then I will just add log dot info, let's say test consume events method execution started, something like that. And also I will just add execution ended. So execution will be start, then we are building the customer object, and through Kafka template we are sending it to the this specific topic. Fine. Now once it will publish to this specific topic, this listener will read that messages and it will print the log statement. Once everything done, we are just printing that okay the execution is ended. And you can also annotate here @test and make sure to import it from the Jupyter. Okay, this is as much as simple. Fine. Now here also what I want to do, I want to enable the application.yml. I mean I just want to uncomment, I want to use this application.yml and I want to comment this config class. Again you can try in both the way, but let's go with the application.yml so that if any test configuration required, I can add directly the YML file here rather than define the config class. Now here also I need to define the resource folder, new directory, resources, and just add the application.yml file. Fine. So make sure you need to define the same group in your test case. So let's go here. I mean not in the test case, this particular Kafka template will publish the message to this topic. Now if you go and check in the listener, the topic name is correct and the group name need to be this. Okay, I mean it is same only, that is how I have configured in YML file. So go to the test case, all good. Now let me run this. So it started the container here, can you see here? Now it will start executing our test case. So this test is executed successfully. Now if you filter this, we have not received the request is not goes to my consumer. Fine. If you will see here, not here, to go to the main one, you'll find some error, right? org kafka.common producer is closed forcefully. So for that, what you can do, you need to wait for some time. The way we have done in the producer, similarly you need to wait for some second, because it might take some time to establish the connection, right? Or it might take some time to connect to the container. So it's good to keep some buffer time interval for sleep. Fine. Now let's run it. Just run from here, restarting the container now. So it started our application. Now can you see here? Let's wait it to complete. Yeah, within a second it will be complete. Now if you scroll down, the Javatechie group partition assigned to this particular topic partition, the partition count is 0, and this is the topic name, and this is the group name. And can you see here the messages? Let me zoom this. Consumer consume the event. This is what the 263 test user, test at the email and contact number. This is the object we are publishing through the Kafka template, and we have defined the consumer who listened to that particular topic, and my consumer is able to consume it. So if you observe here, go to the consumer, the statement we have written is same, right? Consumer consume the event, then what is the event it is getting? We are just converting it to the string. The same statement we are able to see it. We are able to successfully consume the event from our test case and using the test containers. So if you observe here, again I didn't take much headache to define my infrastructure. I just define these two statements, and rest everything will be take care by this Kafka container itself. The test container itself. Okay. So the another advantages here, in this particular approach, the Kafka Docker container can be kept alive, which can help with the test performance and results in a testing environment closer to the production one. So this particular tutorial will give you the fully context how you can write the integration test for Kafka using the test containers. Whenever you will try to apply this specific use case to your real life situation, you can take it further by adding more test cases. You could also start refactoring your app or adding new features more reliable with the test that you have written. Okay. So do let me know in a comment section if you guys have any doubts. That's all about this particular video, guys. Thanks for watching this video. Meet you soon with a new concept.